Okay, great.
Ready to go.
Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Crystal. All right, so welcome, members of the committee. Welcome to members of the public who are watching us on YouTube to the November 23rd meeting of the South Glengarry Environment Committee. So I'll call the meeting to order, and our first order of business is approval of the agenda. So we did get, Crystal sent us the agenda ahead of time. I'm not sure if anyone has any additions or deletions that they'd like to ask for.
It's good by me.
Okay, great. So that's a motion to approve the agenda by Aidan. Do we have a seconder? Perfect, Colleen. Okay, so I think I'll do this differently. I think, and if I'm not allowed to do this, you'll let me know, Crystal. I'll say, is there anyone opposed? So we'll go carried. Perfect. Okay, so now in terms of the approval of the minutes. So the minutes were circulated for our meeting from September 21st. I did have one question in the bag tag discussion section, the last bullet where it said, make it easy for people to use our landfill bridge program. I wasn't sure what that meant. Or if maybe that was a...
That was maybe a typo. Just let me look here. Under what section? The bag tag discussion?
Bag tag discussion. So just the bullet above innovative waste diversion ideas.
Oh, I think maybe that word should be out. Or maybe I was trying to, like, I might have been, yeah, sorry about that. I think I was maybe bridge the program. I'm wondering.
I think this had to do with where we were saying, like, as we're lowering the bag tag, we want to really encourage people to understand that they can still go to the landfill and be able to, you know, bring their garbage there. I think that was the intent there.
So Stephanie, should I make a little amendment to those minutes then, and and I'll reword it to bridge our waste programs.
Did anyone else have any other items or thought on this one, or? No, shaking heads. Okay, yeah, so maybe I would say, you know, make it easy for people to use our landfill program and knowledge of where the drop-off location for garbage is. I think if you go with that.
Educate them on drop-off locations.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. All right, I'll make that amendment.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
So I guess then we'll say, can I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended? I can only see Aidan and Colleen, so you're always going to be alternating. Okay, so moved by Colleen. Aidan, are you willing to second it?
Yes, I can do that.
Perfect, thank you. Is anyone opposed?
No.
Right. That way, Angie, also, that way I can hear you if you are opposed. Okay, great. So thank you for that. Was there any business arising from the minutes? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, no hearing none. All right, so now staffing update. So I'll hand it over to, I assume I'm handing it over to our new General Manager of Infrastructure, Sarah McDonald.
Thank you. Hi, folks. My name is Sarah McDonald, and I am the new General Manager of Infrastructure with the Township. I'm excited to be here, and I believe that I will be a resource person moving forward on this committee. Is that okay? Yep. Excellent. And I was hoping just to ask the committee a few quick questions. I have your terms of reference, I believe, in front of me. It seems to be a lovely 3 pages, and I was hoping that the committee could tell me a bit about themselves. I know we're getting a pretty comprehensive update on what you've been up to this year later in the agenda, but maybe just a high level vision of what you're up to and what your expectations might be of me as a resource person? And also, how formal of a committee might this be? Do we speak through the chair, protocols? Like, what should I do when I'm here? Thank you.
Oh, great. Well, great. I should have been prepared for these questions. I'd say we're not too formal, but we try, I try to make sure that these specific items, like the agenda and the minutes, I try to make sure that that's done formally. But then generally once we talk, I try to make sure that everyone who wants to speak get a chance to speak, and certainly no one has to say through you, Chair. That's completely, we're not that formal at all. Speaking for, and I'd like maybe the rest of the members of the committee can speak, to this too as well. I think from, our standpoint, we worked on that, our terms of reference and our mandate, we did clean that up recently. So, because it was a little bit more restrictive before, and it wasn't as reflective of sort of, I guess, the reality that it sort of morphed over time. And so we did do some work on that, and that's thanks to Angie Parker. She was definitely the horsepower behind that one to make sure that we did update our terms of reference. But I think, again, speak for myself, trying to get things moving on the waste management strategy document that we've had at the township for, I guess, since 2012 now. It's quite some time. So we're trying to get some movement on that. And it's a great group in that folks they participate a lot, and we're probably the committee that meets the most often, really, and is moving projects forward. And we've been really fortunate to have a lot of interesting speakers, again, invited by different members of the committee. So we have a nice network of folks and interesting topics. So, and in terms of a resource person, I think it's just, let us know what you think, how we can help. And definitely one of the items, like you might have seen in the business arising, in the previous minutes, is I think, we'd like to get out. We've had a nice tour of the MRF in Cornwall. I guess it's 2 years ago now. I think we would love to, we want to get a tour of the landfills and just get a better sense of how it operates, just how everything operates, so that we can make better recommendations, because that really is the focus of our mandate is, waste reduction, improving recycling, those sorts of things. So, does anyone else from the committee want to say anything on that?
I was just going to say that myself and Michael have been on the committee since its inception, 15 years ago, and it has changed a lot, I think, for the better, and we've been more focused on certain landfill initiatives, but it had been called the Landfill Advisory Committee, and then when we changed the terms of reference, we opened it up more to being everything that encompasses environmentalism, just in case that we have the opportunity to assist the township with other initiatives when it comes to sustainability, climate action, tree canopy, etc. So we're not just focused on landfill, although that was what our focus was for quite some time and is still right now, due to the age of the landfill sites.
Yeah, our landfill really is the hot topic in terms of age. Aidan, did you just unmute yourself? You wanted to say something?
Oh, I was just going to add in that Colleen and I are a bit of the newcomers, so we haven't delved too deep into everything, but that's pretty much it.
Thanks, Aidan. Colleen, did you want to add anything?
No, I was going to say the same thing that Aidan said. Just been here for a couple months now, I guess, and enjoying it for sure. So it's been interesting. I'm happy to seeing things move forward. So it's good.
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky. I think in a sense that we are seeing a lot of stuff that we've been discussing actually moving along. So I think we should be really happy and proud to be part of that sort of those things. So do you have any other questions for us, Sarah?
No, not at this time, but sorry for putting everyone on the spot, and thank you so much for the overview.
No problem. No problem. Oh. Just checking if Mike still hasn't joined us, unfortunately. I'm sure he might want to add a few things too. All right. Well, thank you, Sarah, and we're happy to have you, and yeah, it's wonderful to have you on board. So now we have a presentation. We are very fortunate to have David Kuhn from the City of Cornwall Waste Management Services joining us for a presentation on what's happening at the City of Cornwall. I had a chance to leaf through the presentation just very quickly, and I am really looking forward to what you have to share. Maybe what do you prefer? Do you prefer that you go through the whole presentation and then we ask questions at the end, or what works best for you?
Yeah, why don't I can, I'll roll through the presentation. It's only a dozen slides or so. It shouldn't take me very long, and then I'll open the floor and I can kind of answer questions. I mean, if you have any questions that aren't necessarily contained within this presentation, it is, feel free to ask. This is just something that I threw together for you guys. I kind of tried to keep it. I know that you're going through some big changes in your township, so I tried to direct some of the information kind of for what you're going through and kind of what you can expect in the very near future once you start to implement some of these things. So I hope you find the information useful at least. But like I say, if you have any more questions that aren't pertaining to the slides necessarily, feel free to ask. And if I talk too fast, because I have a habit of doing that, feel free to slow me down too.
Okay. How's everybody's audio for Dave? Is it good? It's a little quiet for me, but I don't know if that's because I'm on my headset.
It's a little quiet for me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me see if I can turn that up here. Is that getting better?
It sounded a bit better, yeah.
Yeah, if it's not better, I can throw a headset on too, but I just.
Oh, that's definitely better. That last little bit was a lot better for me.
All right.
You just have to sit closer to your computer.
All right, I'll just cozy in here a little bit.
We're hanging on your every word here, so we want to be able to hear you. Okay, great. So go ahead and we'll collect our questions so that we can give them to you at the end. Thank you.
Sure. To share my screen, you might have to guide me through can I do that myself? Yes.
Yeah, so on the bottom of your screen, Dave, there should be a share screen button. Let me just make sure you have there you go.
You guys see that?
It's starting.
Okay.
Yeah, so we see you in presentation mode now. Great.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me. My name is Dave Hewen. I'm with the Waste Management Supervisor with the City of Cornwall. I've been in this position since February 2020, so it'll be rounding on 2 years here pretty quickly. I've been with the city's environmental department in some capacity since 2009, so I kind of have my, I've seen changes in personnel and different ideas and methodologies kind of come and go from the department. So I'll share with you what I know, and hopefully this helps you guys out with what you're planning. So a little bit of background. The City of Cornwall has roughly about 47,000 residents living in it. We operate weekly garbage and recycling collection. Now, both of our collections are serviced by a single vehicle called the split back truck. We offer single stream recycling, meaning that all of the recycling items go into a single collection bin. You don't have to separate into fibers and containers, or back in the day they had 3 to 5 different compositions. Now we try to make it as easy as possible on the residents, and we just put it all into one bin. We also offer a seasonal yard waste collection, which we have done for as long as I can remember. What we've done new the last couple of years in anticipation of the bag limits coming in and reducing the number of bags that we collect is we started a bi-weekly summer collection. So this allowed the residents that do a lot of gardening, like to collect their grass rather than just mulching it. It gave them an option to get rid of that without bringing it to the landfill site, and keep it out of the regular garbage collection, which is our main objective. We operate our own municipal landfill sites. So we have one active site right now. We have a couple that are decommissioned and closed since the 80s. But the current one that we have in operation has been open since 1985, and we have roughly about 10 years remaining if we follow our current course of action. At our landfill site, we have a number of different diversion facilities that we operate, and we're always trying to expand on new diversion options and new diversion programs that help keep stuff out of the landfill as well. So when it comes to collection, the city has kind of divided it into 5 collection zones, so one for each day for us, and we also have a business improvement area, or BIA, where we pick up their garbage and recycling twice a week on Mondays and Fridays. Those 2 areas are Pitt Street from Water Street to 5th Street, and the Le Village, which is your Montreal Road where the port is and that business district. So the solid waste management master plan. In 2011, the city had, through a contract, had Stantec create a solid waste management master plan that kind of outlined our deficiencies and looked at what we were doing and kind of tried to point us in the right direction. So the big things that they identified in our current practices were that we didn't have an organics program. Our residential recycling participation was really low, so only 37% of the households in Cornwall were putting out recycling at the time. At the time the study was done, it is worth mentioning that we were operating a two-stream system. So you had your fibers that went in your black box, and then your containers went into a blue box. So one of the items that I didn't write on here, but one of the items that they also had on our master plan was that we went to a single stream collection for recycling. The low residential diversion rate, so that's pretty well just taking all of the garbage that we put into the landfill site and taking away all of the IC&I and all of the industrial sector. So we were only diverting 24% of what we possibly could. We didn't have a bag limit, and we were we only had one staff person to kind of look after all of that. So that was like the key items that they identified. From that master plan, they also gave us a schedule that the city was to start implementing the various items from this report to try to get our diversion up and ultimately keep waste out of the landfill site. So between 2011 and 2015, as indicated in the plan, we didn't really have much movement. That was, there's personnel changes, council changes, financial issues. Some of these things are expensive to do. In 2019, we made a big step forward. We had a new contract that came out. We were able to get some funding with the Continuous Improvement Fund through Stewardship Ontario that helped us write an RFP for our waste and recycling collection. In this contract, we defined bag limits going forward, other restrictions. Bulky waste was eliminated from curbside collection. That was another item that was identified in the master plan as the bulky items. So prior to 2019, it was kind of a free-for-all, for lack of a better terms. If you put it out to the curb, if it wasn't over 50 pounds, generally we'd collect it if it wasn't electronics, white goods, or a mattress. In February 2021, we transitioned to a 4-bag limit, which was kind of pitched as a soft enforcement. So we kind of encourage residents to only put out 4 bags, but we really allowed them to put out 6 bags until closer to the 2-bag limit, which was implemented on April 5th, 2021. And so currently, we're in the process of updating our solid waste management master plan again. So we're looking forward to that and kind of what comes out of that. So the bag limits, the most controversial subject of the master plan was any change to service, and specifically any reduction of collection for curbside for the residents. We were kind of aware that there was going to be some fallback, so we started doing a little bit of research before we implemented the 6-bag limit. And it was just a simple drive-by study of 2 municipal employees. We just pretty well drove around the city looking at what people had put out for garbage and the recycling. Just a visual audit, and what we found was that in 2018 we're at about 2.2 bags per household. So then we did the same study again after the 6-bag limit was implemented after 6 months, and we noticed that the number of bags didn't change at all. The number of recycling didn't change at all. Nothing had really changed at that point. What we did notice is that in general, if you had over 2 bags of garbage, you didn't have any recycling at the curb. And I mean, there's definitely people, that are exceptions to the rule. But with the 2-bag limit, I still find that if they're over the limit and there's issues for bags not being collected at a certain address, typically there's no recycling boxes, there's no recycling receptacles at all, which is still a little bit concerning. One thing that staff can kind of expect is that you're going to have an increase of customer relations issues. People are going to call voicing their opinion and their displeasure with the change in service, because nobody likes change, whether it be for the good of the community or not. So other factors that went into our report to council was the fact that our curbside collection was already on a downward trend, and this is through a number of reasons, social reasons, but the natural downward trend wasn't in any direct relation to any city initiatives that we had done. One thing that we did notice was that when we stopped the bulky collection, we noticed a drastic increase for the residential delivered waste that we received at the landfill site. So that was one item that did have a direct impact on pretty well every resident within the city, and we have heard about that quite a bit. So through public consultation and the reaction, so the kind of just the 3 months following the change in service, we had a significant increase of calls, complaints. Through the public consultation, we identified that some residents had serious concerns with the bag limits because they had a loved one who has a medical issue that there's just no way that they could meet the 2 bag limit. They have 2 bags of medical waste themselves. So we developed a medical exemption for that. The way we do that is we have a medical exemption form that the residents can contact us to get a copy of. They just have to get it signed off by a medical professional. They don't relay any of the medical condition to municipal staff at all. We don't want to see any of that. Just as long as you're a medical professional, it doesn't necessarily have to be a doctor, as long as they sign off on it. We then deliver them, or they come and pick up specified amount of tags for the year, and then every year they have to come to us and renew their tags. The other part that residents were concerned about, especially large families, was the diapers, children in diapers, which it's if you have two or three kids in diapers, I could definitely see. I have a couple of young ones myself in diapers. I could definitely see where that could be a challenge, trying to meet the 2 bag limit with a large family. So what we decided to do for that, which I'm not familiar with any other municipality that does something similar to this, but we allow residents to put out diapers in clear bags. So that works well for your diaper genies and those kind of devices that catch the diapers. They're already in clear bags. If you have multiple of those, you can put them into another recycling bag and kind of put that out to the road. And you don't need a bag tag, and we'll pick that up as an extra bag with no cost to the family. The other item that we identified was the lack of a bulky item collection. That was a big concern with residents, and rightfully so. Not everybody has a car, and I've heard cases where some residents have had to go and rent a U-Haul truck to take their mattress to the landfill site, and that's really it's so. In order to come up with a program for that, we do have currently a tender out for bidding that is going to have a once monthly collection of bulky waste. And the way we're kind of hoping to do this, and it's not totally implemented yet, so it's still a work in progress, if you will, but we're hoping to have like an online merchant portal where you can actually go online, select the item that you would like to have collected. It'll assign a fee to it, and you can just check it out, pay with your your online banking card or credit card, or whichever way. And the contractor will get a specified list of items to collect once a month, and they'll go and pick that up for us. So the results of the bag limits. Introducing a bag limit, a 2 bag limit in Cornwall specifically, has increased the amount of recycling that we get this year by 12%. Allowing residents to set out more garbage that's outside of their limit, but having to use a tag creates a cognitive trigger that makes them think, do I really have to put this item in the garbage, or is there another way I could get rid of this item that won't cost me a bag tag, in other words. So through my own and our own independent research here, based on our day-to-day complaints, we're running at about less than 2% of households set out over the limit bags or containers weekly now. So we're pretty happy with that. It's still there's still some residents that are lacking a little bit behind when it comes to the recycling participation. But usually what I have found with working with a lot of these residents, specifically in certain areas of Cornwall, is that they just don't recycle. And there's a number of factors that go into that, but education is one. So what we're doing is we have cards that we give to people. Sometimes we'll go knock on the door. We offer to go through people's waste with them too, to see if there's any items that are contained within their waste that they could possibly recycle to help eliminate the need for extra bags, because the majority of the time, the extra bags that they are putting out, 90% of their bag is recycling, and that's not an exaggeration. So this slide here kind of shows the year. It shows the tons of garbage, so metric tons. So 1 ton is 1,000 kilograms. It shows the tons of recycling, and then it just kind of gives you the percentage of recycling to garbage. So you can see how since having 0 bag limit in 2018, going from 24% recycling to a 6 bag limit in 2019, didn't really have much effect. And then in 2021, when we went to a 2 bag limit in April, and had a drastic increase in the amount of recycling. And talking to our contractor, if the current trends continue, we might be able to actually take our split back trucks and collect the garbage on the smaller recycling side and start to collect the recycling on the larger side. This is a little forward thinking. We're not quite there yet, but it goes to show that that is something that is possible. So with diversion, this is a little play on words. There's a map for that. New this fall, the city just launched our story map, and I'll see if I can pull that up for us here. We have an in-house GIS. I like to call him a guru because he's pretty good at creating these GIS interfaces. Okay, so I hope you guys can see this. So this is our interactive flyover of the City of Cornwall's landfill site. And the reason why we did this is we're really trying to promote to our residents that there's more to just our landfill site than just a garbage dump. There's 17 different drop-off locations that we can go through here. In this map, it kind of gives you an aerial of our site, and you can kind of go around and it kind of numbers each specific area. And it's interactive. So when you click on these sites, it'll go and it'll show you actually what it is. So if we wanted to check out our compost facility, it gives you a little bit of information on that. You can click on the picture, kind of get a little bit more info about it. And that's not what I wanted to do. So here we can just kind of go through some of the 17 locations that we have. We operate our household hazardous waste depot. We have a partnership with the South Glengarry Township, where your residents are encouraged and to come and use our facility on our designated hazardous waste depot days. Our last depot day for this year is the 27th. So if there's any South Glengarry residents out there that do have any hazardous waste to dispose of before the snow starts to fly here, actually there's 2 days. So tomorrow, the 24th until 4 o'clock, and then the 27th of November, we're open until noon. You can bring your paints, chemicals, gasoline, electronics, that kind of thing. We'll take all of that stuff for you guys. So we have a little recycling drop-off depot where people can drop your recycling if you come to our facility directly to drop that off. That's something we do accept from outside of the city. Also, residents of South Glengarry can bring us their recyclables directly. We started this year a specific bin on site for bulky plastic. So now we are actually recycling children's play structures, totes, large plastic items. Pretty much anything that's plastic that's bigger than a 5-gallon pail goes into this bin, and we bail it up, and we're sending that out of our recycling plant and getting a revenue for it. We have an electronics bin on site where we take electronics from our residents every day that we're open. We accept metal, cardboard at our site. This is our free store depot. I can get a little bit more into this. You might be familiar with this. This has had quite a bit of publicity. So when residents come over the scale here, they're encouraged to before coming over here to get rid of any of the garbage, they're encouraged to drop off any of your reusable items in one of these containers, and other residents can come and get them for free of charge. There's no charge to drop off, and there's no charge to take either. Number 8 is just our regular garbage bins. Number 9, 2014, we eliminated the collection of mattresses from curbside, but we still collected all of the rest of the bulky waste. So we do still recycle all of the mattresses we collect. We collect about 5,000 to 6,000 mattresses every year here in Cornwall. And we send those out to a company in Quebec. They come and pick them up in these tractor trailers, and then they make sure that they're recycled responsibly. We have a little septage receiving station where we screen septage from sewage pumping trucks that goes into our sewer to be treated at the wastewater plant. We have a tire pile, bulky scrap steel, CFC devices, fridges, refrigerators. When those arrive on site, there is a surcharge. We have to pay a company to come and remove the freon from them before they could be recycled. We have a designated shingle pad. I'm hoping to eventually start to use our shingles from the shingle pad as recycled asphalt, recycled shingle asphalt. So you pretty well take some of the shingles, you grind it into finer particles, and you can actually mix that into new asphalt, and it has its own benefits. We have a brick and concrete drop off. Typically what we use the brick and the concrete for is we use that for road base and stuff as we're building roads and stuff in the landfill site. So it doesn't go into the actual tipping face. We use it for all other purposes. Clean wood and branches. We have our own collection. You can actually see this truck here that's dropping off what looks like a collectible material. We chip all of that up and sell that for a revenue once or twice a year as well. And then this is our tipping face. So this is number 17 on the list, and we strategically made it number 17 because it should be the last option. Bringing anything to this area of the landfill site should be the absolute last resort. You should be looking at using all of the other depots that are here before you bring anything to number 17. So that's a little quick overview of our little storyboard that our GIS person made, which I was quite impressed. Okay. So the material recovery facility, or the MRF. So the city owns and contracts the operation of our MRF out to E360. We accept all of the recycling from our residents, South Glengarry's residents, South Stormont's residents, South Dundas, the Mohawk Council, Akwesasne, and North Stormont. So last year, a little bit of numbers on how well our MRF is performing with the new equipment that E360 is installed, which I heard Stephanie mention that you have toured the landfill site, but we do have brand new equipment that E360 just put in there. That's all pretty well cutting edge, state of the art. So if you want to see the new equipment when you tour the landfill site, I'll definitely bring you through this area as well if you're interested. So in 2020, between all of us, we had about 5,800 tons of recycling. We sent about 148 tons to the tipping face. So that residue is going to happen. Typically sorry about that. So a typical MRF efficiency for a single stream collection is between a 5 and a 10% residue. That means that for every ton that you bring in, there's about 5 to 10% that is not recyclable, whether it be contaminated, doggy poop bags, items that aren't recyclable, ending up in your blue box that ultimately we can't get rid of, and we have to landfill. So the percentage that we're operating at is way, way below that. And when that's made possible through a number of techniques that we've been working on over the last couple of years, which includes the plastic bag and the film recycling, which we never did before, that bulky rigid plastic, which is all of the large plastic items that are larger than a 5-gallon pail that can't go in a blue box. We're now recycling that kind of stuff. We're also recycling compressed cylinders and stuff that shouldn't be in the blue box, but rather than sorting it to waste, we're trying to make sure that nothing, if possible, goes to the landfill site if it doesn't have to. So that's something I'm very proud of, is the less than the 3% residue that we're operating at for a single stream system, especially taking it from such a wide variety of demographics across SDNG and Cornwall. Okay, so our public drop-off area. This is something that we're currently working on. So we have 17 drop-off locations at the landfill site, but my thinking is that I'd like to put them all in a central location. So right now the residents are kind of asked for, because it's not required when they come to the landfill site, to take their branches over to the branch pile and to take your scrap steel and put it over here, and to take everything and just kind of separate it. A lot of the times they don't, and they'll take the easy way out if they can. So what we're thinking of is we're looking at trying to kind of amalgamate all of our drop-off locations in a central drop-off location, and then we'll be able to not only better promote these drop-off areas, but we'll be able to establish some sort of financial incentive. And what we're thinking, and what I'm thinking, is kind of like a multiple rate structure. So if you don't want to sort your waste, well, you can pay X amount of dollars and bring it directly to the tipping face. Or if you want to sort your waste, and make sure that a fraction of it actually goes to the landfill site, you'll be charged the lesser of the two rates and charged accordingly. For that, there has to be a penalty structure, and we have to do a little bit of work prohibiting materials from the landfill site and changing our bylaws for that. And it's important to note that both of these options require additional personnel for enforcement. That's the big thing. You can make all the rules in the world, but if there's nobody there to enforce them, it's not going to do much good. And this is our free store. So we're actually fast approaching our 1-year anniversary of the free store. We have received national attention for this initiative from CTV and CBC. Since it opened, we've had almost 900 vehicles that have gone through and taken items from the depot. That's, we're getting close to 40 tons within a year. Not significant. The city of Cornwall accepts about 34 to 35,000 tons a year. But this initiative gets people thinking about, so one person's trash is another person's treasure. And it's really what we're trying to do is we're trying to get the conversation started to start using the other two R's in reduce, reuse, recycle, which is reducing and reusing before you have to recycle. And there's somebody from the group here that you might be familiar with. So the Cornwall Gives a Shirt, we established that in 2017. And what this initiative is it's to get people aware with alternative options for their textile waste and their clothing. So we make it as easy as possible. We tell residents to put out your clothing donations, and we actually accept rags and clothing that's no longer usable, just label it differently. Put it out on your regular collection day. Municipal employees go around. And actually, we had some volunteers from Mr. Lee himself this year. They go around and they pick them up. We weigh them at the landfill site to see kind of how much we're collecting, and then we hand deliver them to our not-for-profit agents, agencies within the city, and they sell those items for their social programs. So this is something that we're really happy about. It just keeps increasing in popularity every single year. This year we offered 2 collections, thinking that we would have it would be less of an ordeal to pick up all of the stuff if we did it twice a year. But we're noticing that we're matching getting close to our highs every single event now. So we're getting close to about 21,000 pounds or 20,000 pounds, 20 to 27,000 pounds every time we do it. Is how much that we're collecting for clothing donations. And again, that keeps all these clothes out of the landfill site, and it gets the conversation started to, I don't necessarily have to landfill this old shirt that I don't want, or that's no good anymore. There's alternative options for it. So organics in a green bin program. So we don't have a choice, even if we didn't want to. Not that we don't want to. Didn't mean to say it like that, but it is mandated that municipalities that have over 20,000 people and under 50,000 people, which is where we are, must have a collection program that captures at least 50% of the residential organics. So last year in 2020, we had a full organics feasibility study, which outlined the different options for disposal. So our council chose to further explore the option of co-digestion. So co-digestion is where we collect all of your household kitchen organics at the curb. We take it all to a site, put it through a process where it turns it into a slurry, put it back into a truck, bring it to the wastewater plant, and then dump that slurry into the wastewater plant. The wastewater plant operates with the anaerobic bacteria, meaning that they thrive without the presence of oxygen. And what they give off when they eat the organics is they excrete methane. So we're getting a significant increase to the amount of gas that we would create. So what does that mean? It means that we could start possibly capturing that gas, refining it, pumping it back into the grid. Another option that I've seen discussed, and I think we were talking about having a pilot project to see if it was feasible with the current wastewater gas, but it was about taking the gas that's produced at the wastewater plant and refining it through a fusion process, turning it into a hydrogen, cleaning up that hydrogen, and possibly compressing that into hydrogen fuel cells, and then having that become a source of revenue. That's a little outside of my wheelhouse. That's more of the wastewater plant's jurisdiction, but it's something that I'm very excited to see further developments on. So in addition to the gas, adding that much organics to the wastewater process would also double the amount of biosolids that we would create. So we're also looking at further refining the biosolids and trying to market those as a fertilizer to residents and industries and agriculture as well. So if the city does use this method, we don't have enough organics in our own municipality to create enough gas to make it work. We're going to be looking for partners. So if we do go on forward with that, we will be looking for partnering municipalities for our organics project. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have. I mean, if there's anything, I know there's a lot that we do, and it's probably a lot of stuff I didn't think to cover, but if there's anything you guys have questions on, or if I rush through something, feel free to ask.
Oh, thank you. I mean, wow, there's a lot of material there. I mean, I was noting things that I was kind of curious on, and I'm thinking, well, I have too many questions. So yeah, probably we'll continue the discussion, but maybe I'll start. Does anyone from the committee want to ask some questions?
I just want to let Dave know that Indra did talk to us about co-digestion a few months ago. So we do have a bit of an we do have a bit of an understanding, I hope, on how that process works. So yeah.
And maybe more than the average bird. Yeah, we.
Oh, excited.
So Mike, you had a question?
Yeah, quick question, and it's actually with co-digestion, and good presentation, Dave. That is a lot of information.
Yeah, I catch my breath.
Yeah, you weren't breathing much there. And just curiosity, is there, as far as the co-digestion, you mentioned a couple of times, if the city decides to go that route, is there sort of a date on this? Is there a drop dead on this? Is there any kind of indication?
Not necessarily for the co-digestion. The regulation states that the city of Cornwall, a city of our size, has to have a collection of some sort that collects 50% of the organics by 2025. It doesn't really specify aerobic, row composting or anaerobic digesting. It doesn't really specify what to do with it. It just says that we have to collect it. Now, it definitely gets interesting because we have a lot of work to do before 2025 to get this facility off the ground, if that's the way we're going. So it seems like a lot of time, 4 or 3 years away, but
we know how that goes. Good enough. Thank you.
Pauline, go ahead.
Thanks for the presentation. I'm also in GIS, so I really enjoyed that story map, by the way. And I know Denis was very proud of it.
I really liked it. I wasn't expecting that. So.
My question is just quickly about the free store. I think, Stephanie, I had to leave a little bit earlier at the last meeting, but I think you guys brought it up. It was in the minutes that you guys had talked about it for us as well. I'm just curious, do you have somebody that monitors that, or how do you, like, I feel like people would just drop things off, like random things that maybe don't belong there?
Yeah, you need, some kind of personnel on site. So the full picture of how that came to be is we used to operate our landfill site by a contracted service, and it was one person that was always there, just one person through the contract. Well, it's hard for one person to run the scale and have as many as 300 vehicles come through the scale and be looking at what people are putting in our free store. So we identified that we would need more staff to kind of do some of these diversion initiatives. So we took that contract in-house, and we have a couple of more employees that are, we call them as spotters, or on a rotating schedule. So when there's one person running our scale, we also have another person that's kind of patrolling, monitoring our diversion, our public drop-off pad, and somebody will come over the scale and say, I have a couch I want to put in. Well, we check it first, and this person will come over and kind of just a quick, we're not going to sit on it and take it apart and make sure it's good. But if it looks good, we'll put it in. If it doesn't look good, then they have to pay to get rid of it, kind of thing. But to answer your question, you definitely need personnel for that. You definitely need personnel, or else it'll just be a free-for-all.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? So in terms of the landfill, if I wrote this down right, you said you have about 10 years left on your landfill. Like, what is your, I mean, you could argue it's still early, but in landfill terms, it's not early to start thinking about what comes next. But are there plans for what comes next for your landfill?
There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle. So we're going to try to expand our current facility. I think that's the general consensus. And if the ministry says that that's not possible, then we're going to start looking at alternate means of, like, alternate locations. But I mean, I've kind of looked over the city, just there's not many places to put one. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's not expensive. It's not popular. It's really not popular. There's going to be a ton of resistance against putting it there. So the other option is that we would have to truck it to a different facility, possibly a private facility. But we're trying to avoid that. So we have some things that we're looking at right now that, organics, we're looking at an alternative cover project, and there's some things that could significantly increase our capacity by as much as 50% here in the next year if we do some of these things that we're looking at.
Okay. No, that's interesting. So this is an easy question, I think. So if someone brings something that's less, like, so it's garbage that can't be diverted, but it's less than 150 kilos, what do they get charged for that?
Yeah, there's a minimum fee that we set, and that minimum, like, the amount of weight that is accepted for the $10 minimum fee fluctuates based on the weight. So right now it's $81 a ton, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's X amount of kilograms. When we increase the tipping fee in January 1st to $83 a ton, it'll be a little bit less kilograms per, and then eventually it'll be about probably 75 kilograms. But it's just good. I like to keep a $10 minimum. We have to have a $10 minimum. You have to pay for the for the operation and the capital, the administration, and the maintenance on the facility. So that's kind of where the minimum comes into play. But it is it's right now it's for 140 kgs.
Okay, but so if for example someone had extra bags and for whatever reason they didn't have tags, the cost benefit analysis they might make of saying, I'm going to go throw this in a ditch that I see somewhere versus bringing them to the landfill, that's sort of
that's something that we've heard, stuff like we heard a lot of people saying that there's going to be a lot of illegal dumping happening as a direct result of this decision. But like like I've personally, my personal opinion on it is that I've been around this area long enough. You know, I've hiked and biked and ATV'd and dirt biked on all of the trails where people do dump garbage, and they've been dumping garbage since as long as I can remember. It's not new. The people that are going to dump garbage are going to dump garbage. You know, and from my perspective, they're going to put it in their truck and they're going to bring it to some place to dump it. You're not going to change their mind. You're going to have to catch it, and there's going to have to be a financial consequence for them. That's going to be a penalty, and that's the only way you're going to get the message across.
Yeah, no, certainly that was something that came up too in this area when we started to discuss the bag limits. But I was curious whether other options you had. Another general comment I'd want to make is I think we need to do, I don't want to say I'm always forgetting, but I feel like I'm never as fully informed as I should be about what South Glengarry residents can go do at the Cornwall site. Like, I don't think I realized, I think I knew we could do electronics, or maybe I didn't realize we could do both. But can you, like, I know that, and maybe that's more a question to like Sarah and Crystal, but I think this is something we can capitalize on, like do a better job of sharing that info about what Cornwall will accept from our residents. But maybe, Dave, if you could go over that again.
So we can accept blue box recycling. And your municipality is allowed to use, we have an agreement to use our hazardous waste depot. So the hazardous waste depot, we also have an electronics bin. So for City of Cornwall residents, we have an electronics bin that's on our public pad, but that's reserved for City of Cornwall public because it's right where you can dispose of regular garbage. For the hazardous waste depot that we have, where that one is where your residents are allowed to come to, they come through we have a contractor drain all that the cars drive through, and with COVID protocol, they don't even get out of their cars. We take everything out of it and kind of sort everything. That's how we accept electronics. For the blue box program, we do accept blue box recycling from South Glengarry, but again, they're not going to the regular public garbage pad that the City of Cornwall residents go to. They're going to the MRF or the recycling plant to get rid of their items there. The reason for that is that our environmental compliance approval states that we're only allowed to accept garbage from the City of Cornwall's residents and Mohawk Council of Akwesasne right now. And if we're caught operating outside of that ECA, the penalties generally, I think there might be a financial penalty, but they could also remove capacity from us, which is put I think 10 years, 9 or 8 pretty quickly that way. You're kind of going counterproductive.
Yeah, no, for sure. But yeah, so that's something we need to make sure we get that message out too for that. Now, like I said, I had lots of other questions, but I probably just like in terms of attention span and energy for these things, I think probably as our committee, like I think there's a lot of items here that we probably want to chat about more, but maybe that could be something we could discuss, like some interesting ideas for like a following committee meeting. But does anyone else have any other questions for Dave for today?
If anybody has any questions offline that are, that I didn't cover everything. There's, I didn't want to waste your whole meeting covering the boring parts of what we do. So if there's any items that anybody's interested or wants to know more about, please feel free to, I can send you my contact info.
Great, thanks.
Or email me.
Thanks. Lee, did you have something you wanted to add?
No, this is a wonderful presentation. I have to excuse myself. I've got many questions. Dave, fantastic job. Look forward to talking to you soon. And through you, Steph, to the rest of your committee, thanks for allowing me to be an observer. And I look forward to speaking with you all soon. Have yourselves a good night.
Okay.
Bye. Thanks,
Lee. Thank you very much, Dave. Thank you again for spending time with us. And there probably will be some follow-up questions. So thanks again.
And say you're welcome to probably stay, but you don't want to, if you want to go home to your baby.
Yeah, I'm sure they're probably waiting for me to get home. So
yeah, you look like you're in an office, so go home.
Stephanie, I just wanted to add to not knowing as well that South Glen can go drop things off. I was going to try to sneak in as a city employee to drop off my electronics and hazardous waste, but now I know that I can go as a South Glengarry resident. I'm sure a lot of people don't realize we could do that. And sorry, Dave, I know I could probably just ask you at work, but is there a fee for South Glengarry to drop off stuff?
Well, there's not a fee for the residents. the individual agreements with the townships, for us, that's all the same. We charge the residents, we charge your township $30 per household to use it. Now, I know of one municipality that actually charges that $30 back to the resident, but it's not South Stormont, or it's not South Glengarry, and it's not South Stormont. So.
Okay, thank you.
But I mean, to kind of make it, I guess, a clearer point, we can't take garbage from South Glengarry. So unfortunately, I can't take garbage. I can't take your branches. I can't take your compost. I can take your blue box recycling, and you can definitely use our hazardous waste depot. That's what the agreement's there for, and that's what our depot's there for.
Now, can South Glengarry pick up compost?
Right now, we're keeping it just for City of Cornwall residents because of the costs incurred to operate the program. It is paid for by City of Cornwall residents. So that's kind of the theory behind that.
Okay. I'll get you guys some.
I'll sell you some.
Thanks. All right. Thanks again, Dave. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. I'm going to sign off.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. All right. So, Crystal, I guess it's over to you with the ongoing projects update.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Stephanie. Do you guys want me to share my screen? I can take the report up on the screen, or do you guys all have it in front of you?
You know, it's probably good for the public to have it on the screen, maybe.
True. Yes. Okay. So can you see my report here?
It's loading. I still have a black screen, but I'm a bit slower.
Yeah, I still have a black screen too.
There you go.
Okay. Let me know.
I see it.
I had a few things open here. Okay. So I just want to take this opportunity to do a little bit of a recap on our 2021 year. It's hard to believe we're at the end of November. So we likely might have one more meeting before the end of the year, but I thought I'd do a little wrap up. So as you know, some of the initiatives that South Glengarry have made this year to start off was Pitch In Week, which was in April and May. We had, I think, close to 100 people register for a community cleanup program. We will be doing that moving forward every spring. So that's something that we're going to continue to develop and grow. The Butterfly Way project was another initiative that we did in collaboration with Marlin Orchards and the counties through the David Suzuki Foundation. This was another really successful project. We had, I think, 60 people register for their butterfly kits. So again, that's something we'd like to expand on next year, maybe have some areas in the municipal owned areas with butterfly gardens and projects. So that's something we'd like to develop a little bit more. The Food Cycler project, the pilot project is coming to an end. We've received, we sent out our surveys to all of our participants, which would gather some of the information on, how many cycles they ran in the 12 weeks that they had the units. So we're just waiting for the results on that. We have about 85% of the surveys in. So we're just trying to tackle that last 15% of people. So I'm excited to bring the results back to the committee and to council and hopefully see what next steps we can take, because it was really well received. And we still have people who are calling me on the weekly basis to get on the list for Food Cycler. So I'm hopeful and optimistic that this could be go to the next step. Our Hazardous Waste Day was the end of September. We had 95 new participants this year, which I thought was excellent. It seems every year we get more people attending the Hazardous Waste Day at Smithfield Park. And our waste composition study is in the final stages. The final audit was done at the end of October, maybe the beginning of November, can't remember exactly. So we're just waiting on that final audit for the fall. So once that data information is available, we'll be able to share it with our committee, and it will also be available, I believe, on their website, Stewardship Ontario. So we'll share that with you as it comes through. So I want to stop here and just ask if anybody has any questions or any comments on this portion, because I'm going to dive into our waste and recycling changes. Does anybody have a question?
Quick question.
Yeah.
On the food cycler, excuse me, on the survey, I'm curious, was there a question or did anybody mention anything about tracking energy consumption with that machine?
I don't believe there was a question on energy consumption, but there was information that was shared with us before on the energy consumption. Mike, I don't have it right in front of me, but we do have that information on how much it consumes, but I don't think it was asking the residents how much. If I did the survey
in the
myself.
material, I remember in the material he was saying it was equivalent to like a laptop.
Yeah.
Like the power that it uses while it's running is equivalent to that, to a laptop. But
yeah, it's a good question though.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's nothing else, I'm going to dive into our waste management changes. There's a few things I want to go through today with the committee. Tomorrow will be our Waste Wednesday launch to, I guess, announce to the community about our bag limits and our weekly recycling. So we were, the Council of South Glengarry awarded the garbage and recycling tender to E360. And so we've been working really closely with them this past month or 6 weeks or so on implementing our new contract and our new changes to our garbage and recycling. So effective January 3rd, we will be implementing a phased in bag limit to divert waste to our landfills. So the bag limit obviously will restrict the number of bags that each resident can put out for collection. So we have the dates here. January 3rd, we will be reducing our bag limits to 4, which means 2 containers. E360 looks at 1 container as 2 bags, if that makes sense. So that's where we're wording it so that people aren't too confused. May 30th, we'll be going down to 3 bags, which is equivalent to 1 container plus a bag. And then November 28th will be our 2 bag limit or 1 container. So we will be making bag tags available to the public very soon. They've been ordered and we are expecting in the next few weeks. We will be making them available for sale at the township office and online, where you can have them mailed to you, or you can come and pick them up at the township office. Initially, we were going to make it available at several different outlets in South Glengarry, but as administration, we kind of discussed the pros and cons and how it would roll out. And what we'd like to do is we'd like to open it up online first, online payments in our office. And then as we get feedback from our communities, we can expand the locations where we sell them. But right off the bat, we're going to make them online, available online, where people we're just going to include a little shipping handling charge of $1.50 to mail them out to our residents. So I kind of just put some wording in here just for your information on really what's going to be on our website, the information that's going to be on our website. So we will be selling the tags in sheets of 10 for $20, or sheets of 5 for 10. And this will just make it easy for residents to buy just, a pack or a sheet of bag tags for the year, or however many they want. And nothing, your garbage will stay the same. It will obviously be collected on the same day. And E360 is looking to keep the routes as, as similar to our previous contract, meaning that, if your garbage was being picked up at 8 a.m., that they're going to try to stay on that same route and maybe make some changes, as they get adjusted to the garbage route. So then for recycling, our changes, the most exciting changes that we're getting weekly recycling. It's single stream, so there's no sorting. Very similar to, well, exactly the same as Cornwall. So there's no limit in how many recycling bags you can put out. And like I said, it will be weekly. So this is a really positive change to our service delivery. We are also going to be implementing the same diaper exemption and medical exemption that Cornwall has used. In our research, when, deciding what kind of exemptions we wanted, and the feedback from council and the feedback from the environment committee, we decided that it would be best to keep our exemptions limited, I guess, so to speak, where we're not too loose with them, that we keep people accountable for the amount of waste that they're putting out at the curb. So how this would look like is, if the bag limit is, if there's a 2-bag limit in a year from now, those 2 bags wouldn't require a tag, but any additional bag would require a tag. That's for garbage. And the diapers wouldn't require a tag at all. You would just set it out in a clear bag with your regular waste, and it doesn't count towards your bag limit. And the medical exemption, again, it will be the same type of application. On our website, it will direct our residents to email us. That email will go to our manager, who will send the application to the resident requesting for a medical exemption. And they will have to be looked at every 3 years. And once they apply, it's in effect for those 3 years. And the tag is a different color. This is the medical exemption tag. And how it would work is, they would put one tag out for the whole lot of bags, if you know what I mean. So if they're putting out 3 bags, they would just need one red tag to show that they have a medical exemption. So they don't have to put a tag on each bag. They would just have a different colored tag so that the collectors will know that with that one medical exemption bag tag, that the waste can be picked up, and that they've gone through the appropriate process for that medical exemption. I'm just looking to see if I missed anything. It's that's kind of the short and sweet of it. I didn't read it word for word. I'm sure you guys had a chance to go through it before the meeting. Is there any questions on this portion?
I had a question. Does anyone else have one first? The idea, I guess now maybe I understand it better, but when I saw that there was different colored tags for regular extra bags and medical bag tags, I guess my initial reaction was of concern, because I was like, I didn't know if identifying, like there was an
Yeah.
issue of like privacy, like identifying that these people are using different tags. Like I guess I assumed they would everyone would get the same color tag, and you would just give more to the folks with the medical exemption tag. So is that something that came up, the issue of sort of privacy?
Well, this came, you know, it was never, the privacy that we discussed is, you know, we don't want people having to disclose their medical information to us. We don't want it. We don't, that's not what we're gathering, but we needed something, I guess the waste E360 needs something to identify that isn't a list that's easy for their collectors to identify what is different from the regular bag tags. So it was really from the suggestion of our collection company, and I believe this is how Cornwall does it as well. But you make a really good point about the privacy portion of it. You know, it's something that we can certainly discuss as staff. It was never brought up, to be honest, Stephanie, but it's a really good point.
That's just what came to mind.
Mm-hmm.
Any other folks any other comments? Oh, pretty
I just have
exciting.
a question.
Oh, go ahead, Angie.
Sorry, my internet keeps cutting in and out, so hopefully you'll be able to hear my full sentences. Now, because I have no trust in people, is there like a way to do they have the addresses of the medical exemption ones to keep people from selling their tags to other people who don't have medical exemptions, just so they could dispose of more?
Yeah, so in the medical exemption form is, you know, has asked the name, address, like E360 will be provided with I suppose the addresses of the medical exemptions. I just think operationally, perhaps for them, maybe it makes it easier with a red tag that's more distinguishable, but yeah, I guess I don't know how we would police per se, you know, people selling their tags, other than if the collection staff would pick up on it. Sarah, I see your hands up.
I would just add that the medical exemption tags, it's one tag per week that goes out. Not every bag gets a medical exemption tag. So if someone kept coming back saying, hey, I've lost my tag over and over again, that would be a flag for administration that something's up in that respect. So we're not policing, but we would have an idea if they were being misused.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm just thinking when I was in my 20s in Belleville, we were pretty bad, like trying to like sell off ours and cut them and all this stuff. So, I mean, if I was like that in my 20s, I'm sure there's other people like that as well too. I'm not now, but I'm just thinking how other people might be thinking.
Mm-hmm. But that sounds like if it's just the one per week, then that probably makes it more difficult to. If you have a true exemption, you're likely using it every week. So
I like that. Yeah, thanks.
The other comment I'd like to make, and this is probably not an environment committee comment, it's more like a council comment. I have a feeling that council probably wants to weigh in a bit too on bag limits. I think, you know, there's some folks have certain assumptions about what's happening with the bag limits that might not line up exactly with what you're presenting here. So that might be, I know, like in terms of, I think at some point comments were made at council where, you know, ag properties would be exempt. And I know that wasn't the feedback from the environment committee, but I'm not sure if council knows that feedback came back. So that might, I mean, I know we're just going to 4 starting in January, so it's not like this is an urgent issue, but that might be something I might suggest to staff to circle back on those items, because I don't think it came to council.
Sorry, Stephanie, did you say that our feedback said that we did not want ag to be exempt, or we did want them to be exempt? So I remember us saying that we didn't want them to be exempt, that they had to kind of move up to.
Correct. That was my understanding. Okay. Was that our committee was very much, let's not have a lot of exemptions. Let's have sort of like, let's get everybody on board. My comment is that I believe at council, there might be folks on council who are of a different mind, and I just don't want, this is one of those issues where there, if not everyone's informed about what's happening, that there might be some difficult conversations that people are surprised about. So I'm just suggesting to Crystal and Sarah that this might be something that they want to circle back on, just to make sure that, I mean, I certainly support what the committee is suggesting, but need to make sure that council is informed as well.
Quick point on that. I think one of the issues of concern for farms was the film, the wrap for bales. If Cornwall is doing a film, they're actually recycling film. I would highly encourage you to get in touch with them and see if they'll take the bale wrap, because they might be able to. Because that would be one of the bigger contributors to, volume from a lot of the farms. Not obviously the sole, but that would be one of the bigger ones. And it'd be nice for them to be able to control that and not have it across the countryside.
Oh, that's a great suggestion. Something to, if I can suggest staff look into that one, because that definitely is one of those items. Okay. Anyone else have any comments or questions?
My internet cut out a bit, but I think I heard Michael say the white plastics that go over the bales.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And also too, I was thinking like the baler twine. I don't know if I know a lot of people actually in the spring look for those things for gardens and stuff. So I don't know if like there's something you can look into, like where people can get some of that rope or that twine for their own projects. Like it's a free thing that a lot of farms just throw out, like where my horse is boarded. We all kind of scavenge the garbage bins for those when it comes to springtime. So I don't know if that's something that other people might want, to have for their own use, that might be able to reuse it that way.
I just wanted to add, I'm really pleased to see the bag limit being applied, and it's I'm going to say reasonably aggressive in terms of the scheduling of it. Within a year, you're down to 2 from essentially 8 right now, so that's impressive. I will hope this goes well.
Yeah, council was, I think, more aggressive than our suggestions. So if we're going to do it, get on it. So.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah. Okay. But communication is going to be key. So I'm glad to hear that we've got communication plan coming out. And
so you'll see something on Facebook tomorrow. It's kind of going to be a phased release. Like everything is moving constantly here with garbage and waste, and we've got a really great team working on the communication side. We're also revamping our waste and recycling website page, where it's going to be a lot easier to find things, and it's going to be really current. And we've certainly taken a lot, if not most, of the suggestions from the Environment Committee in terms of what we're communicating. So keep your eyes out tomorrow for that if you're online. And of course, it will also be in the newspaper, Seaway News, Glengarry News. We're also doing a mail out so that we don't want to miss a single person in this project and this launch. So we're certainly trying to cover all of our bases and making it really clear to our residents how and when and why we're doing it. So yeah.
Awesome. And the info about what we can do with Cornwall.
Yeah.
That always seems to get lost in the shuffle. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. That's fantastic. Okay. Were there any other questions on or comments on the ongoing projects update? Good. So for new business, we have a placeholder for new business, but I don't think we actually had any specific items. But I just very briefly, in case other members of the Environment Committee are interested, at the last council meeting for the township, we had a presentation from, I think it's Barbara King from Watersheds Canada, who is talking about a shoreline restoration education program that they have. And I thought, folks in the committee might find that interesting. So if you have a chance to take a look at that last council meeting, it's like one of the first things on the agenda. So it might be interesting to you.
Thank you. Can I just add something? Sorry, Stephanie.
Sure.
Tonight, Lee has his town hall, his public town hall, future climate leaders tonight. That's why he had left. I was going to send you guys the link earlier, but then my Zoom crashed and I had to rejoin. So if you go to his Facebook, go under future climate leaders. He's got at 7 p.m. It's one of his virtual town halls that he's having.
Great.
I can't remember who the speaker is, but I'm sure it's exciting.
Well, he's had lots of interesting ones, including 2 counselors from South Glengarry, not including me. So interesting speakers. Okay, great. Do we want to schedule for a next meeting? I know we seem to do better when we have one in the book, so at least we have some time set aside. I don't know if you were saying, Crystal, you're not sure if it makes sense to have it before the year end. I don't know either. If there's something specific you want to do before year end, or
I mean, it's totally up to you guys. I mean, this the waste recycling is going to be the last, big push that we're going to have at the end of the year. So maybe it would be more beneficial to give an update in January. But if something comes up before then, it's
the waste composition study. Do you know when we get that data back?
I don't have a date specifically, but I followed up with them today before the meeting just to light a fire, just to see where we're at. So they've been pretty responsive when I reach out. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, why don't I throw out like January 11th or January 18th? Tuesdays seem to be okay for us, 5 p.m. Does anyone have a preference, one versus the other? Maybe 18th is better. That puts us about 2 months out, but with holidays and whatnot, I don't know.
I'd say 18th, yeah.
18th?
That's fine with me too.
Great.
Yeah,
I'm making the calendar invite right now, so I don't forget.
Yay!
Oh, yeah, and if you could, yeah, we need that. And in terms of agenda items, I would love to have maybe we can talk more about what Dave presented to us, because I feel like there's a lot of material there that maybe could chat a bit more on as we move forward. Okay, great. All right, so unless there's anything at this point, selfishly, it works well for me to adjourn now because I have a meeting that starts at 6:30, so unless there's anything else. That's good how to keep these things shorter, right, is to make sure that I have something I have to leave for. Okay, all right, well, so I'll adjourn at the call of the chair, so thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
See everyone on the 18th. Okay,
Bye.
take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.